Personally, I think we need quite a bit of work to do to create the framework that works for Africa.
When we think about a country or when we think about a continent, and when we think about sustainability, I think the other side of sustainability is systems-based thinking, because we can't have sustainability without thinking about all the actors.
I have always been impressed by mathematics applied to surgery, because, you know, our role as academician surgeon is really to invent the future in surgery. And always I say, one brain of a surgeon plus one brain of a surgeon, it's only one brain and not two. But one brain of a surgeon and one brain of a computer scientist, with that we can have a progress in surgery. So that is IRCAD Africa in Kigali, and it will be a fantastic school for surgery, but also a big team of computer scientists. And we have been totally impressed by the level of these researchers.
We became more open to hiring and seeking talent across all of Africa and beyond. And it gave us a talent liquidity and an access to more youth in a way that we previously were quite constrained. While internet and power connectivity has increased in most major cities in Africa, it was really critical at the individual person in their home desk ability to have reliable access. So access is one thing, but reliable access was the other. This often meant partnerships with service providers, but also having to really pay up and invest in additional stipends for our employees.
We also had students who had their internships being cancelled or their jobs being put on hold because organizations were struggling to keep up with COVID restrictions. And so a lot of recruitment decisions had been put on hold. So the intention was to find other pathways for students to gain the work experience or the first jobs that they needed once they were graduating from school. So on the demand side, employers needed them, and on the supply side, students also, needed the opportunities. So it was easy to make that match.
We have employed 300 co-op students on campus as senior and online learning assistants, and they've been deployed out to the faculty since May, working with professors to help them create course materials that they can use in their remote classes. And I think that's been incredibly beneficial on a few fronts. It's given professors sort of a frontline view to the student side of things, but at the same time, it's giving the students the idea of what it's like to mount and run an online course. I think on the work integrated learning side, I think this will become yet another way that employers can engage with students.
Most African countries and really countries around the world are realizing the need to collect data to build effective solutions for COVID-19. And so this is really to get your personal insight on what might the main challenges be.
I started to work for a research project on COVID-19 in March, where I realized the difficulty of accessing this kind of data that are in different formats and in different languages. So to simplify the access to the data, I started to develop this collaborative platform to harmonize the amount of heterogeneous data.
So COVID-19 has been a huge setback in terms of the SDGs, the goals we have towards 2030. And what we know is that of the 800 million people who were food insecure before COVID-19 hit, is that the risks are this will reach 1.2 billion people who go hungry every day. There's over 570 million smallholder farmers in the world. They produce 75% of the food that we eat. And so having them connected is a really critical element for global food security. And as we move from a billion population in Africa to 2.6 billion by 2050, this is going to become more and more critical.
Now people are talking about COVID vaccines, and I recently read this article about how there's a lot of sort of the global politics of that, where there's questions around intellectual property, there's questions around, okay, how do we make it accessible and for low-income countries? And then having infrastructure, for example, to store. So these are all questions around like one innovation.
The reason why infectious diseases like COVID-19 spread very fast is because if somebody gets infected, they infect more than one other person. And that person infects more than one other person. So the disease grows exponentially in the population. But if you can catch that new infection fast before it gets the chance to cause another infection, the disease disappears. One of the problems we have is that we have people making decisions, prescribing solutions to problems that they don't understand. So we need science because really it is the key to understanding and identifying sustainable solutions to problems. Yeah, so this is a good example of how we can take the maths that we're doing at AIMS to the field and make an impact. We will work to create more opportunities for this to happen. And the fundamentals have to be there. So we need to be training people, and we're going to amplify this effort so that we create more partnerships.